It's funny, I'm actually a lot more aggressive on this bike than I am the KTM, and I think that's... I don't know what that is. Trying to get more out of this bike than what it's actually capable of, maybe. Good work, arsehole. Now, be mindful of the speed limit. That's only something you get to say when you're doing around town speeds. Because this bike, you know, if you don't quite know, it will struggle to do anything over about 85 k's an hour. Technically, it tops out at 110 or 115 kilometers an hour indicated. But you're only ever going to get that going downhill with a decent tailwind. Like, this is not a fast bike. It's built for 80k zones, quite frankly. I was going to go out and do Ballara to Murbu, but I feel like that's been my last 3 or 4 videos. So I figure I'll just zigzag instead. This bike is perfectly capable for doing this sort of 80k zone stuff, but when you get to a 100k zone, you start to really struggle with it. We're going to take it out on the freeway now, and I'll show you what I mean. We will be lucky if we break 95 k's an hour, and in actual fact this stretch of freeway is 110 kilometers an hour. Alright, let's get a decent tuck happening. Now we get a slight uphill. Even though we've hit 100 k's an hour, we can already see the speed dropping below. A decent tuck makes all the difference on this bike. There we come down the other side, and we probably won't see faster than 105. Well, there we go, 107, 108, but we are going downhill. 109, 110, that's pretty good. But we just can't maintain that kind of speed. And truly, it doesn't matter how fast you're going, there's always going to be arseholes who try to overtake you. The good thing about riding on the freeway is, of course, they've got the space to be able to do that. Now that we're getting a draft from the vehicle in front, we're able to maintain a decent speed. The slightest uphill in the freeway, and it's all over. I'm actually surprised that we're seeing 108, 109 kilometres an hour. We've got a decent hill between this exit and the next, and I'll keep it pinned, and I want you to show just how quickly the speed drops off. We'll maintain this tuck. If I was to sit up right now, we'd probably drop well below 100. We're seeing 110 on the speedo, and that's amazing. 112. I see 114. Look at this mess. I'm going to have to back off the throttle. Yeah, I'm backing off the throttle. Right, back onto full. $105, $106, $107. I'm actually, this is unheard of, but it's also because we're drafting, having to ease off the throttle. Now we're going uphill, we're seeing the speed drop again. I'm pinning it wide open. 104, 103. Doing much better than I gave it credit for, but then I wasn't expecting to draft. 108. Yeah, you know what? Ever since I cut the spark arrestor screen, or whatever you want to call it, out of the airbox, this bike has done a lot better. But we'll attribute this, maintaining this kind of speed, to the draft I'm picking from the traffic in front. I'm actually following closer than I would normally feel comfortable with. After this bend is the hill that I was originally talking about. I'm actually having to slow down for traffic because that fucking truck up there was taking up the right hand side and stopping anyone from overtaking. This car thinks I'm going to fly past, but I can't do it. Alright, wide open throttle, decent tuck, 100 k's an hour. 104, a little downhill, 106, 107, 108. You bloody ripper. Now we're climbing again and the speed's dropping. 102. $100, 99, 98, 97, 96. The van overtaking me, 96, 97. What's this guy doing? because I wanted to let that van through. Now I'm back on full throttle downhill. 112, 113. You know what? It just must be the day. The little Honda just wants to go today, and I couldn't be happier with it. I came onto the freeway, like, let me show you how slow the CB125F is. And we're maintaining speed with traffic doing 110 k's an hour, give or take 2 or 3 kilometres, but who cares? The little bike's doing it. You fantastic little ripper, you. We haven't quite hit the limiter yet, but I expect we might be close to it. 115, there it is, there's the limiter. But we are going downhill, as I say, you'll only ever see that downhill. We're coming uphill again and the speed's dropping off. 105, 104, 102, 101. Plucky little bike is trying though. You will actually get 98 kilometres an hour in 4th before you hit the limiter. Having said that, there's no real point in changing down into 4th at anything over 80 k's. Because 5th gear will get you up there just as quickly. '98, 97, 98, 99, 100. 105, downhill again, 107, 108, 109, slide uphill again so the speed starts to drop, 106, 105, 104, ultimately, my point remains, is that this bike can maintain speed with traffic at 100 k's an hour. And I wasn't really planning on doing the freeway, but the bike is performing so wonderfully at the moment that I just want to keep going. I've got the time for it. I've got a couple of hours I can spend today. Some days I get on the bike and it just does not want to get up and go, but I think today it's just been happy to get out and been ridden again. Now I've been pinning the throttle wide open, and I'm not sure whether or not the GoPro can actually see my hand at the moment, but the speed is fluctuating up and down, and it's with every like hump and hill on the road, no matter how slight. I mean, you might argue that the traffic we're staying with is slow-moving traffic anyway, but we're still keeping up. I'm not holding up traffic any more than anyone else is. And this is why I prefer to take this bike for a big commute into the city. Because it will just do this all day. The frustrating thing is though, when you're catching a draft from a vehicle in front, you think I might actually have the speed to overtake, but as soon as you hit that, you lose that draft, you hit that wall of air, and all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. Realistically, the only way I could justify overtaking on this bike is if the traffic was moving at less than 90 k's an hour, which 20 kilometres under the limit. Even then I'd want to be back into the left lane as soon as possible. But I will not get, I don't know if the GoPro can see, but there's a big truck up ahead who's just turned into the right-hand lane himself, probably being an arsehole. Hope he's turning off, actually. In terms of that distance, there's no way that I would be able to overtake that line of traffic. I think half the reason the traffic's being held up is because of arsehole truck drivers like this in the first place. Even though I'm technically being held up right now, 95 k's an hour, I could be going, there is no point in me trying to overtake because I can't get this bike to maintain the speed limit of 110 kilometres an hour in the space that would be reasonable for me to overtake in. And as it happens, it drops off to 80 k's an hour here anyway. Once you accept the limitations of power on this bike, it's actually a very easy bike to live with. I came out this way last week on the KTM actually. I don't think I want to do the exact same road. I think I might turn up the next left following the one I did, but I do feel like doing some significant twisties. And it's only 11:30 in the morning. I have got plenty of time. I don't have to be home until, well, realistically 2 o'clock, but I prefer to be home by 1 o'clock. School doesn't end till 3, but that still gives me plenty of time to put the bike away and get out of my gear. But even if I just had to park the bike and jump in the car and my full gear, I could do that too. But I've never actually cut it so fine for the end of a school day. Now, when I took the KTM out, I turned left here, which is a decent ride. It's one of the better ones to go on, but I actually think we're going to take the Yarragon route today, which is perhaps the more technical road. I've popped out there before too, actually. But when you zigzag random country back roads, you really can pop out almost anywhere. Alright, we'll get back down into our half tuck. We're seeing 108. Not bad, 109. This is a perfectly reasonable speed to travel along in a 110 kilometre zone. See, I sit up, catch the wind, and we're not even able to do 100. Let's see if we can crack 100 again with a tuck. There it is. Oh, but we're going to slow down because it's 80 k's ahead and the vehicle in front is being smart. Got a big truck behind me. Probably would have overtaken if not for the car in the right hand lane. So we'll just be mindful of that one. Yep, there he goes. Into the right hand lane. We'll just let him. Now I will be turning off up ahead, so there's no point in me carving through this traffic. There must be a school trip or something happening in there, so it's probably a good thing I didn't decide to pull in that way. But in fact, we're going to take the side street all the way down. Oh dear. Big snots. Fancy a chair? This is bad. Engine lights come on. It's spraying oil out the top, I think. Shit.